Good morning, my name is Jacob Folger. I'm an artist sculptor, and today I'm going to show you how to make a fairy door that's kind of in between two old trees. And so we're going to start with a ball of clay, and just take your polymer clay. I'm using Sculpey 3, that's the brand I like, and I'm started off with rolling it in a ball, and now I'm rolling it in kind of a noodle shape like this, and I'm going to kind of take it up a little bit, applying more pressure at the top so that it kind of is shaped like that. So, you know, because trees grow and they're thicker down at the bottom and thinner at the top, I want it to be fairly uniform. And then I'm working on a wood board because it's going to be a door and it'll be easier to be flat on the back. I'm just going to wet the board a little bit. Right now the board is very dry and the clay would just slide off of it. And I have to, for viewing purposes, I have to keep the board at an angle so you can see it. Anyways, by wetting the board, it just makes it kind of take the clay a little bit better, and it will probably stick to it a little bit better. So I'm just going to put one, this will be the beginning of one tree here. There we go. And I'll take another bit of clay here. I'm going to kind of create like an archway with the little trees. I got another one here. I'm going to make it, let's see, a little bit longer. There we go. Make it like that long. I want it to kind of be a little bit haphazard. It doesn't have to be like perfectly, you know, straight or anything like that. Fairy doors tend to be, you know, kind of funny. Like that. So I've got a kind of crossing there, and now I'm going to take little bits of clay, and off of those two pieces I'm going to create some like little offshoots. So that would be like a little offshoot there, and then I'll blend that in. Whoops. And then when I mean by blending is I'm drawing clay from one piece to another. I'll take another little bit here and put another offshoot there and blend that in. We can do another one here. Just put that one there, blend that in, and maybe let's move this up a little bit so you can see that. Maybe put one here. I'm kind of extending that first tree that I had. This is not hard to do. It just takes a little bit of time. Here's another one here off of this branch. Blend that in. You could put leaves on this. I think I'm not, well, we'll see. But leaves are not hard to do, but I'll show you how to make one just so you know. You can take a little ball of clay like this. I roll them between my fingers. If it's hard for you to roll between your fingers, you can roll it between the palms of your hands. And then you roll one end like this, so it's kind of pointed like that. See? And then you can kind of just squeeze the bottom like that and just point the other end a little bit. And then to give it, so that's how it looks so far. And to give it kind of a natural look, you can just turn one end, like the pointed end. And then you can take, like, you know, any kind of sculpting tool pretty much. Like this kind of sculpting tool would work pretty good. And what you do is you put in a little line, you know, from, you know, on the leaf. And then you put other lines like this. Now, I have seen a lot of molds for stuff on, you know, I would never buy anything like that. I'm an artist, I'm a sculptor, so I can make my own leaves. I don't need to buy a mold. And hopefully now you can make your own leaves. So that's what a leaf looks like. And then you can just, you know, just put it on there like that. And you can make another one. I wasn't really planning on making leaves, but, you know, why not? I'll just show you, just so you know. And then you can make them different sizes. Here's another one. This is a little bit smaller. And put your little lines on there. And, you know, you can be random with the lines. You don't have to, like, you know, put them in a specific place. And then just put them on there like that. You can turn them different ways so they look more natural. But that's basically how you make leaves without a mold. We try to get our fingers working here and making things, you know, from scratch without the use of all these things. So, so we got the branches going here. And we actually got a few leaves on there too. And so now what I'm going to do is start the door. And the way I do the door is I create a, I start off with a ball of clay. Starting off with a ball of clay is kind of like the beginning for this particular technique that I'm teaching you, which is simple shapes. Forming simple shapes out of clay to form figures, doors, people, structures, whatever. Once you've got a ball, then you can roll a noodle like this, or oblong shape, and maybe make it a little bit longer. And then you can point the end like that by squeezing it, and then you can squeeze it, flattening it a little bit, and then put it in there between the trees. And just move it by squeezing or pushing it and flattening it more, and then sort of moving it by pushing it like that to get it to go up, butt up against the tree. And then this allows us, once we get that in there the way we want, it allows us to sculpt it to make it look like a door. It's pretty neat, actually, I think. If you have any excess, you can cut it off the end like that. If you have any holes that you didn't get to, you can fill them in. There we go. And then you can take a tool like this. These are wood sculpting tools. You can find them online. Pretty soon, I think, actually, just because of the requests by people that watch the videos that maybe I carry them in my art shop. So I'm probably going to do that, actually. The thing is, these are the two tools that I have been using for many years. They're my main sculpting tools. I have other things I use, but pretty much these are the main things. And when you still can buy them, but you usually have to buy them in a package, and that kind of brings up the price because they're hardwood tools. They're made out of hardwood. So, anyways, they're probably going to be in my shop pretty soon. And then once you get the door, keeping in mind this is a fairy door. This is an old, ancient fairy door that we're making. I kind of like there to be texture in it. You can smooth it out if you want. I will put a link to one of my smoothing videos so that you can learn all about smoothing clay. I will put that in the video description, also along with a tool and supply list, so you'll know what to get for this project. And there'll also be baking instructions for Sculpey 3 polymer clay. There'll be that in the video description as well. Okay, so we got the basic shape and we got the door in there, so I'm leaving it kind of rough because I want that kind of aged old look. And now what I'm going to do is I just want to kind of bring out the base of the trees a little bit by giving them roots. So I'm just adding clay here, as you can see, and maybe one kind of to the front like this. So I'll just add that on there like that. Now, ideally, this sculpture, this tree fairy door, will be able to stand up on its own. I mean, that would be ideal. So I'm going to show you how you can sort of help that happen. So we got that, and I don't want these to look exactly the same on both sides, so I'm just sort of gonna maybe turn this one this way, and then I'll put this one in here, blend it in. And then what you can do is you can take something like a block of wood. This is a piece of 2x4. The important part about this, you may not have a 2x4 in your house, but you could have anything really with a right angle, with a 90-degree angle like that. And you can put that underneath like that and press it up and form the sculpture to it so that when you go to stand it up after you bake it, it will stand up. So that's how you do that. It's really simple. Just put that on there so that the sculpture is sculpted to it, and then you can take it away and just let that let it bake like that. I get a lot of stuff on that thing because I made molds with it and kind of get it into the clay there. But so there you go. So that's how you do that, and just make sure that before you bake, just check it, get that thing with the 90-degree angle, shove it up underneath it, relatively gently, of course, and then then you'll be able to you'll know that it's at a 90-degree angle, and then you can go ahead and stand it up, and you'll be able to stand up the door. And then the other thing you can do is that is kind of nice is if you take a piece of clay like this and it's roll it into like a little oblong shape there, you can put this across here to be like a threshold for the door, and also like a little step. And you can sculpt that into place there by just blending it in with a tool. And then you also could add a second one, really, if you wanted, so you could have a step. You just make it a little bit wider than that one, as far as depth goes, so the fairies can step down off the doorway. And then just sculpt that into place like that. You can just carve it in and put it into place like that. I mean, this will be a working fairy door, absolutely. So the fairies can pass over to the other side whenever they feel like they want to. So there we go. So we got that. And now we're going to work on the door a little bit. So I use this tool a lot for like carving lines and that sort of thing. So I'm just going to carve a line. Whoops, kind of went off the line there. I'm going to carve a line in the door. That's going to be the this door will be made up of wood planks. And so I'm just drawing lines to identify those wood planks. And so you can also, you know, create a line along the edge there. And on the bottom. So the so it's all defined, you know. It's not that hard to do there. And then you can, I think for this door, I think what I'm going to do is put on a couple hinges. So I'm just going to take a little bit of clay. I'm going to roll a ball like this, and then I'm going to roll it into a little noodle like that. It's just going to be a strap hinge, what I call a strap hinge. It doesn't, it's not this, because this is kind of, to me, this is really rustic. So we're going to just make a simple strap hinge that comes out from that one tree there. And we'll do that twice. Put them into place there and press them into place. You can either blend them in or you know, carve them in how you want. I'm just going to blend it in a little bit there. And maybe down at the bottom, kind of straighten it up a little bit. And then the other thing you can do is you can take a little tiny ball of clay like that, and you can put, let's see, you can put one there, and take another one, and put it there. And that will be little bolts on the hinges. Hold them into place. Do the same thing down below. Now, there is no doubt in my mind that you will be able to make this tree fairy door. It's probably going to be a little bit rough though, because you don't, your hands are not used to doing this, and it takes a minute, you know, for your hands to get used to it. They're going to get used to it a lot faster if you practice. I mean, obviously. So just keep that in mind, and don't be frustrated with yourself. Don't be impatient with yourself. I've been doing this for many years, so it goes together pretty well for me. But for you, it might be a little bit more difficult. I'm not saying absolutely it will, but it might be. And so you just have to keep in mind that you do need to practice to get your hands used to doing this type of work. Okay, I'm going to make a little doorknob, so I've rolled a little ball of clay like that, and I'm just going to set it on here. And I will tell you this, when you're working this clay, you know, you're doing a lot of sculpting like this, it gets warm and soft, and it will join a lot easier than when it's cold and you haven't been working it. So if the clay is cold and stiff, you're probably going to want to do something called scoring when you add one piece of clay to another, and that is by, I'll just, for an example, you have two pieces of clay like this. You see this a lot in my videos, but you might not have watched all my videos, so if you haven't, I just want to show this to you. You can score it like this, kind of roughing up the clay like that. You can do it on both sides of the pieces to be joined, and you can join them, and when you join them, you can twist them together like that. And that will make them stick and bond better to each other. You don't see me doing that too much here, and the reason why is the clay is very warm, very soft, and it's going to bond really well without doing that. You know, that's based on experience, so you know, you want to keep that in mind. I'm going to show you how to do a keyhole. I'm going to take a paintbrush here. I'm going to use this end here. We're going to put this right below the doorknob, so I'm going to twisting the brush end. I'm going to drill a little hole like that, and then I'm going to take a tool like this and put it just below that and sort of fan it back and forth to create the look of the other part of the keyhole. And then once you've started that, and gotten a visual on the keyhole, you can then take your tool, or whatever tool works best for you, and just sculpt it in, or that sort of thing, to get it to look like a keyhole. And so that's how you do a keyhole. And there's not really room for a window in this door because we've got the hinges there. Another thing that we want to do is add texture to the trees to give them kind of a natural look. And so the way to do that is you can take your tool and just take your time. A lot of people just want to scratch, but actually, you can actually make this part of the artistic endeavor and take your time and pay attention to how you're putting those texture lines into the tree. Just take your time. Maybe do little curves in it, or like that, just to kind of make it more interesting. And then, when you finish this and some other things that you've made in my shops, get on over to a craft show and see how you do. So, there you go. And then, so we'll do that here. We'll do the, so instead of just drawing a straight line or carving a straight line, I'm following the curve of the tree, and paying attention to how I put those lines in. There we go. And again, you just keep practicing. You don't have to make the same thing over and over. You probably get bored doing that, but just keep making things. There's many videos on my channel and many other channels that do videos, so there's plenty of material out there for you to learn and practice and get better at what you do. You can be really good at this, and I'm self-taught. I didn't go to school for this. I just decided one day that I wanted to own sculpture, and I went at it. I bought some clay and just started making things. And so there you are. And you could also sign your work. I usually put my signature like right down there or something like that. You can just use a tool like this to make a signature. So I'm looking, for me, I'm looking for kind of a rough look anyway. So we're almost there. We're going to put a finish on this. I'm going to show you how to do that in a few minutes. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do a finish on this. And you can finish it any way you like. I always tell people I use the black clay because of the finishes I do that I like to do, but you could hand paint it or whatever. It's just that the finishes that I do are really hot. I mean, they look really good. on the black clay. And so what we use here, what I'm using today, is Pearl X Pigments. It's a powder. Comes in many colors. This is green. This is spring green. I'm going to put the colors I'm using on the video description and the tool and supply list. Okay. You can apply it with a paintbrush. The best thing to do, I'm set this here, hold it here in my hand like this. The best thing to do is to dip your, make sure your brush is clean and dry. Dip it into the brush, into the powder, and then onto the lid, and then work from the lid as opposed to the bottle. This goes very far. I have colors that I use all the time. I've had the bottles for like 4 years, and they're not anywhere close to running out. It goes a long ways. You dip it into the powder, and then a little bit dab it off on a paper towel, the table, your workplace, whatever. Just dab a little bit off, and then just paint it on, just like that. Now, when I do it, I like to just kind of leave some of the black showing through, because I'm looking for character, and I also like it to look old. Now look, I just dipped it that little bit, and I did all those leads. So you don't have to. I mean, it goes a long ways. And then I have a. I do this a lot. So I have a rag in my lap, and I just wipe it off a lot and get all the color off before I go to the next color. And I think the next color is going to be Reflex Violet. I often refer to it as purple because it is basically purple, as you can see. And it's also very pretty. So I'm going to dip it into the powder and then onto the lid. That will be where I'm working from. And then I'm going to pat it, dab it on something besides, the sculpture. And I'm going to make the door kind of a subdued purple. I'm not looking to make it really bright, because I want it, to look kind of old. Maybe a little bit more. And I'm avoiding the hinges. So, because I'm going to do those in another color. So that's my purple or Reflex Violet. Clean off the brush before you move on. This is silver. And then, now the silver is really fine, and so meaning that it's really fine and it's dusty. So you really don't want to sink your brush down in it. You just want to touch the brush into it, and then into the lid, and then you want to probably dab it off pretty good, actually, and then just brush it on the hinges. Like that. And the doorknob. There we go. And, actually I think I'm going to put it on the stairs as well. So let me just move this up here. Those stairs. I'm just going to kind of lightly brush it. I don't really want it heavy. There we go. My next color is going to be the antique bronze, which is another Pearl X color, and what I do is I add a little bit of gold to it, and it gives it kind of a better, it's just more appealing for me. But I try to put this on with my finger because it just looks better. Okay, so just with the bronze. So what I do is I dip it into the powder, and I swirl my finger just a little bit, and then I put it on. I like the bronze on trees because it looks, to me, it's just, maybe it's just like my artistic mind or whatever, but it just looks like, it looks like it would be the color of a tree. And I do a lot of trees, by the way. I don't know if you've seen some of my videos, but I do a lot of trees. I made a tree today, actually. And I make trees all the time. So, I love trees. I especially love sculpting them, and I do a lot of tree work. So then once you get it on there like that, you can go back, get some on your brush, and dab it off, and then just sort of touch up where you can't get with your finger, because your finger is a broad surface and it's probably not going to hit every little place that you want to get. And again, at least for this finish and what I'm showing you, I'm looking for a subdued old look. I'm not looking for it to be bright and, you know, all that. So we're finishing up here. This turned out really pretty nice. I think I might put this in my art shop. You should come check the art shop out. The address will be in the video description, but also at the end of the video you'll see the address for it online. I'm going to put baking instructions in the video description. If you're using clay other than Sculpey 3, you might want to check your package of the clay and make sure that you're doing the right baking times and temperature. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of videos along these lines. And please rate the video, let me know what you think of it. And also you can leave a comment, and if you have any questions, you can leave that in the comment section. You also can send comments, questions, and conversation and photos of things that you do and make to my email address, which is on my about section of the channel page for my channel. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support, and have a great day.